Our next type is the partial variation. That's our last type, and the variation partial variation. That's variation in parts, variation by parts, rather. So this type of variation, we normally do it in our daily life, but we never know. So this is a type of variation which consists of two parts, namely as what? Fixed or constant part and the variable part. Okay, so we have the fixed and constant and the variable part. And this variation occur in our daily life. So I have two examples here. Salesman income, yeah, especially the insurance company. Yeah, the insurance company. So you go to insurance company and they'll take you maybe as a salesman. Okay. Okay, we'll take you. Just go out, get people, convince them to join our company. Monthly, we are paying you 500 Ghana monthly, and that's your first price. Okay, that's your first part. Okay, we are paying you monthly. But if you go out and if you get one person, one person, then that one is 100 Ghana. Okay, one person is 100 Ghana. So that will be your variable part. One person is 100 Ghana. So just go and convince people. So within a month, you're able to convince about 20 people within a month. Okay, and one person is 100 Ghana. So 100 Ghana times 20 people, you'll be getting what? Yes. So times 20 people, then plus your monthly what? Salary, that's 500 Ghana. So the first price plus what? The variable part. So that is, so let me do some sketches here. So they pick you a month, they say they are paying you 500 Ghana. Okay. Plus go out, convince people. If you get one person, okay, and that is 100 Ghana, good. Now, within a month, if you're able to get 20 people, then the total amount for this, so 500 plus this one times this, you get, that's 2,000. Okay, good. So this is kind of monthly salary. Okay, so normal daily variation in our daily life. Now let's go to our SUSU, those who collect SUSU for the bank. Yes, the bank. So the bank will take you, okay, it will take you, but you go out to go and convince people to join our bank, okay, to do SUSU for us. So we just go out. So maybe a month we are giving you 400 Ghana cedi for a month. Okay, good. Then if you're able to get one person for the month is, let's say, 100 Ghana. Then within a month you're able to get 50 people to join the bank, to do this with the bank. Good. So this is our fixed, and this is what our variable part. Okay, good. So this is called the partial variation. So normally deal with partial variation in our daily life. Normally deal with partial variation in our daily life. So we have the salesman's income. So that's the salesman's income. Now, car rental charges. Car rental charges. You go and rent a car. Yes, at the garage. So if you go to a person to rent a car, if you go there, they'll say, okay, if you're able to a day, if you're able to take a car from the garage, it's 1,000 Ghana. Good. Good. So that's 1,000 Ghana. Take the car from the garage, that's 1,000 Ghana. Then a day for a day is 50 cedi. 50 cedi. Then the number of hours that you drive the car within the day the number of hours that you drive the car within a day. So maybe you travel for 10 hours. No, drive a car for, let's say, 5 hours. 5 hours, okay, good. So within a day, you are giving the car rent people, those who are renting the car, you are giving them this amount. So the 1,000 plus the 50 times, so the 5. So car rental people also deal with the partial variation. MTN and Co. Also those network, they also deal with the partial variation. They can pick you, go out, go and talk to people to join our company, to give them able to register for our network. All those people deal with the partial variation. Okay, so partial variation is with us. Good. That's why I say we have the fixed and the variable part. Okay, so that's for the partial variation. So now we understand the partial variation. Let's talk about the mathematical expression for the partial variation. Y is partly fixed. We talk about the fixed price, the fixed part, and the variable part, and partly varies as S. Okay, so the fixed is fixed. So I'll let K be our fixed constant. Okay, so Y is partly fixed. So that's K. Let K be our fixed. Okay, that's our fixed part. Y is partly fixed. That's K1 be our first part, and partly varies as what? S. So that's direct. Partly varies as S. So Y partly varies as S. Can be written as this. We talk about direct variation. Partly varies as what? S. So it's partly varies as S, and this can be written in the equation as Y equals Ks. So yes, already K1 here, so I can make it K2. Okay, so Y is partly fixed and partly varies as S, and know how to write this. Good. So let's put this one together. It will be this. Okay, so that's for the partial variation. So Y is partly fixed and partly varies as what? S. Okay, and this is how we write it. So Y is partly fixed and partly varies as S. This is how you write it. So that's for this. Let's move to the second one. Y is partly fixed. That's always Y equals K1, because you have two constants. By the time I was explaining the salesman, you say you are having two constants. Okay, good. So the time I was talking about the salesperson, I was saying 1,000, then plus maybe 50, then the number of people that you get 20. Okay, so you see this one is constant, and here 2 is what? Constant. Okay, so you have two constants here. So here is 1 and what? 2. Then this one be the varies. Okay, good. So that's what we are doing here. The same idea. Good. So Y is partly fixed, so that will be our K1, and partly varies as inverse of S. So this was direct. So inverse of S. So let's take Y partly varies as inverse of S. This I write it, inverse of S. Okay, and in an equation form where K is a constant proportionality, where K1 and K2 are constant of proportionality. Okay, so they can be written as this. You know how to write it. So let's put this one together in a partial form. This is what they mean. So you see, so Y is partly fixed and partly varies as inverse of what? S. This is how we write it nicely. Okay, and this one was Y is partly fixed and partly varies as S. So this one was partial direct, partial inverse. Okay, that's partial. Last one, Y partly varies as S. So see, here it was Y is partly fixed. Partly fixed. That's why it was K. So here it's Y partly as S, varies as S, and you can write this one in an equation form y partial value as s, and equation form. This is our first constant ks, k1, y is partial values as z, yeah, partial value as z. So then let's join this. Okay, partial form, put in a partial form. That's y equals k1s plus k2z. Okay, that's y partial value as s and partial value as what? Z. Very simple. Very simple. So go through this. Okay, it's very easy. So in variation, getting the mathematical expression is the problem. But if you understand it, it's very easy. Okay, good. So that's how we write for variation, the mathematical expression. Good. So let's solve example. Example 1 under partial variation. The cost of feeding some students in a class is partly constant and partly vary as the number of students. Okay, n in the class. So let's do that one. So solution, let's write the mathematical expression of that. The cost, that's the C, of feeding some students in a class. So our cost, C, that's the cost of feeding some students in the class, is partly constant. We talk about constant. So C equals what? K1. Okay. And partly varies as the number of students. That's the N. So number of students, so C varies as the number of students. So the number of students, that's the N. Okay, good. C varies as the number of students. And let's write this one in equation form. Where we introduce the K. We already have K1, so let's make this one K2, N. Okay, and it's partial. So let's join them partially. So it becomes C equals K1 plus K2N. That's what they are trying to mean here. Good. So the cost of feeding some students in the class is partly constant and partly varies as the number of students, which is what? N. Okay, this is what they mean. So like I was saying, getting the expression is the key. Good. Now then let's continue. So here where K1 and K2 are constant of proportionality. For 8 students, the cost is 70 Ghana. For 10 students, the cost is 90 Ghana. Good. So we are given for the question, for 8 students, the cost is 70 Ghana. So let's break this first. Now, so 8, he said the N is for number of students, so N is 8, and the cost is 70 Ghana. This is what we are given. So let's do the substitution here. So N and C. Good. And therefore, let's make it nice. And this will be our equation 1, because 8K, then 70, equation 1. Then let's continue. So this for 8 students, the cost is 70 Ghana. And for 10 students, the cost is what? 90. So we're giving this. Good. Then let's substitute this one into the equation. So C is 90 Ghana, and N is 10. Good. So let's solve for it. Then this is our equation 2. So find the I, an expression for C in terms of N, in terms of what? N. Okay. So find expression of C in terms of N. So therefore, we have to solve this simultaneously to find the constant. So here we have two constants. Like the direct, inverse, joint, the constant was 1. Okay. So yeah, we have two constants here. So you have to solve this equation simultaneously to find the constant. That's the k1 and the k2. So let's solve this equation. So I'll just do this equation as elimination, k1, k1, and k2 here. So equation 1 from equation 2. I'll solve this. That's all. Let's subtract equation 1 from equation 2. And this is the elimination method. You can use the substitution method, it's up to you. You know how to solve for simultaneous equation. So equation 1 from equation 2. Okay. So this k minus k1, we get 0. Then 10 minus 8, you get 2k, 2. Then 90 minus 70, so you get this. So therefore, I can solve for k2. I divide both sides by 2. Then my k2 is 10. So now that I know k2, I can find for k1. So I just put k2 into the equation 1, or one of the equations. So I just put k2 in here. That's the equation 1. So k2 is 10. Then I'll solve. I'll make k1 the subject, and my k1 is like 10. So therefore, my constant of proportionality, my k1 is 10, my k2 is 10. So I just substitute this one into what? This equation, the equation given, okay, this one. So k1 is like 10, and k2 is 10. So that's the I. An expression for C. So C in terms of what? N. Very simple. II. The cost of feeding 12 students. So 12 students, meaning the N is 12, when N is 12. So the cost of feeding 12 students. So just substitute this one into the I. Okay, then solve. And that's what? The answer in dollars. Okay. So the cost of feeding 12 students is what? $110. Okay, good. So this for the first example for partial variation. So please get use of it and know how to deduce the mathematical expression for the partial variation. Our second example here for partial variation is the cost C of feeding students in a certain school is partly constant and partly varies as the square root of n, the square root of number of students. So the number is n. So let's write this in mathematical expression. Let me help you. So C, that's the cost of feeding a student, is partly constant. So it's partly constant. That's K1, because we get two constants and a partial variation. Let's make this K1. And partly varies. So maybe I can say that C is partly varies. No. And partly varies as the square root of what? N. Okay, so let's make this, it's a partial variation. So this can be written as K, introduce K, then root N. And this make it partial variation, because only partial variation that we have two constants. Okay, good. So this can be written as K1 plus the first plus the variable part, K2 root of what? N. So let's, in that case, I'll make that K2. So that's what they are saying. So solution, this is what they are saying. Good. So the cost of feeding students in a certain school is partly what? Constant, and partly varies as the square root of n. Okay, the square root of n. Good. Nicely. Now, so this is our equation where K1 and K2 are the constant of proportionality. If it's cost $640 to feed 144 students, and you have for $560 to feed 64 students. Find the equation connecting C and N. So you should find the equation connecting C and N. So you are given, if C, that the cost is 640, the number of students is 144. You just add to this one to the equation, you get this. Then let's simplify it. The square root of 144 is 12. So this is equation 1. Good. Then we are given another one. C is 560, N is 64. 560, N is 64. We substitute this one to the equation here. Good. So C is 56 and N is 64. Square root of 64 is 8. So you have this as equation 2. Then solve this simultaneously to find your constant. Okay, like I was saying, partial variation consists of two constants. Okay, good. It's partial. That's all. Variation by parts. So let's solve this equation. So I'll just subtract equation. So this one is bigger. So I'll subtract equation 1 from equation 2. You can subtract equation 2 from equation 1. It depends on you. Okay, so I'm using elimination method, and that's simultaneously. So K1 minus K1 is 0. 12 minus 8. 12K2 minus 8K2. You get 4K2. Then 640 minus 560 is 80. And to find K2, let's divide both sides by 4. So it's 20. So divide both sides by 4. You get so K2 is 20. Put K2 into one of the equation. I'll put it into equation 1 to make it simple. So now I know K2. I can find for K1. Yes. So therefore, my K1 is this. Very simple. Very, very simple. So now that I know K1 and K2, I can find for I equation connecting C and N. So K1 is 400, K2 is 20. Just add this one to the equation here. 400 plus 20 N. So this one is in terms of C and what? N. In terms of C and N. II. The cost of feeding. So when N is 196, the cost of feeding 196 students. When N is 196, okay, so now you just have to do this one in here. N is 196. So now this is your new equation, okay? You just substitute, then you solve. Therefore, your final answer is $680, okay, because it's in dollars. Good. II, okay. The number of students that can be fed with 700, okay. Number of students that can be fed with 700. So that's the C, that's the cost, okay. So we want you to find the number of students. So the same here, you're giving the C, you have to find the number of students. So you just substitute the C there. Then you just make N the subject. Okay, so this will go here. They are grouping items. Then you have this. Okay, so let me divide both sides by the 20. Divide both sides by the 20 so that the roots will be a little bit easy. You divide here by 20. Both sides, you know how to divide both sides. Simple. Okay, good. So divide both sides by 20. You'll get this. 93. 15. Then you want to find N, so you have to take the square of both sides because of the root sign in there. Therefore, your N is this. Very simple. So that's how you solve for partial variation. You see, it's very easy. By getting this equation, this mathematical expression, that's the problem. Okay. So let us look on that. So our third example under partial variation. Good. The cost of producing n bricks is the sum of the fixed amounts h and a variable amount y, where y varies directly as n. Wow. So let's deduce this, the mathematical expression for this question. So the cost, that's the C, of producing the n bricks is the sum of the fixed amount h and a variable amount y. So this is what they mean. So it's the sum of what? H and y. Okay, that's the sum. Very good. Now, where y varies direct as n. So that's what y varies directly as n. So since y varies directly as n, where y varies directly as n, so the cost of producing the n bricks is the sum of the fixed h and y, where y varies directly as n. Okay, so this one, let's put this one into an equation that varies. Okay, so it can be written as, then this can be written as what? Kn. Okay, Kn, we know how to do this. Kn. Good. Now let's put this into a partial form. So where y, so now our y is equal to what? Kn. So the y here is equal to Kn. So let the substitution in here. That's where we got what? C equals H plus or Kn. So this is what the equation that they are saying. So you see, you have to understand the equation, the expression. Then, so this is our equation. Then let's continue. If the cost, we're giving the cost is what? 950 Ghana cedi, produce 600 bricks. Okay, so we're giving this 950 Ghana cedi. Then our n, at the n bricks is what? 600. So just put this one into your equation. This one, this equation. So you see this, then you solve for what? Yeah, so this is our equation 1. Then the next one, we're given this 1030 Ghana cedi to produce 1000 bricks. So when C, that's the cost, and on the N, okay, C, that's the cost and the N. Good, that they produce. We talk about it. So you just substitute this one into the equation, this equation. You know C, you are giving C, and you are giving what? The N. So just substitute in one there. Let's make it nice. Then this one becomes our equation what? 2. So then let's solve this simultaneously. So which one is bigger? This one is bigger. So equation 2 minus what? Equation 1. So equation 2 minus equation 1. Okay. So if that is, I'll get what? 80. This and this will go. And this I'll get to 400k. Let's solve for k. You have both side by the 400. Yes. Then if you use it, it simplifies it to get what? 1 on 5. So our k is 1 on 5. Now I know k. I can solve for the h. Put k into equation 1. Then so I will know the fixed. That's what the h. Good. So just simplify. This can go. Then k. Our h is this. Good. I. It says find the relation between C, H, and N. So C, H, and N. So now C, H, the relation between them. H is what? And N is what? So we have H as 830 Ghana cedi, and K as what? K as 1 on 5. So just have to this one there. Simple. I. Calculate the cost of producing the 500 bricks. Good. So that's the N. That's the 500. Good. So that's the 500. So just have to this one in there. Then we are for the cost. Then the total cost will be this. Very simple. Good. So that's our third example. So please know how to deduce the mathematical expression and put it in equation form. and the solving is very easy. Here's our last example under the partial variation. Wow. The cost of reading a rectangular plot of land is partly constant and partly varies jointly as the length, the breadth for the plot. Okay, for the plot. So let's deduce the mathematical expression here. Good. So the cost. So the cost here, that's the C. That's the cost of what? This is partly constant. The cost is partly constant. Partly constant is constant. Then partly varies. So let me do that simple. Varies. Okay. Partly varies as length and the breadth. Okay, so length and breadth. Okay, good. So this one is joint. Okay, joint. So partial plus joint. So here this one is a joint variation. Then good. So this can be written as, let's introduce the k. We already have k1, so this will be k2, then length and what? Breadth. So therefore our partial, the partial variation, because you have two constants, so it becomes k1 plus k2, then lb. Wow, good. So that's the cost of reading a rectangular plot of land, partly constant and partly varies jointly at the length and the breadth. Okay, good. So this is how you do it. So like I was saying, getting the equation is a problem. So now you know the equation. Let's continue. Where k1 and k2 are constant proportionality. So in the question we are given for a plot of land, that's the for the plot of the land, the length is 50 meters, the breadth is 20. The plot of land, the length 50 and the breadth is 20. The cost of reading is what? 85,000 Ghana cedi. Okay, so we're giving the length, the breadth, and the cost. Okay, from here. Good. So we're giving this, so you just substitute this one into the equation. So now you know your L, your B, and C. Let's substitute this one into the equation, this equation. Let's make it nice. Good, that's equation 1. This time this, you get 1,000. That's equation 1. Then, and for a plot of length, 40 meters, the breadth is 30 meters, and the cost is what? 100,000 Ghana cedi for reading. 100,000 Ghana cedi. So you're giving it when L is 40, 30, and what? 100,000 Ghana cedi. So just have to do this one into what? The equation. Good. Then let's make it nice. And this will be our equation 2. So we solve this simultaneously. So this one is bigger. So equation 2 from equation 2 minus equation 1. That's equation 1 from equation 2. So this is my equation 2. Then my equation 1. And I solve this simultaneously. I'm using a elimination method. Let's get rid of this. Then you'll get this. You know how to solve for this. You have solved this several times. Yes. So let's make k2 the subject. Divide both by the 200. You get what? 75. Good. That's for the equation 2. You put equation 2 into equation 1 to find the second constant. That's the k1. And this is your k1. It's all 10,000. So now that we know the k1, I find the relation between C, H, and N. Find the relation between C, L, and B, rather. So let's find the relation between C, L, and B. Okay. So our C is, our first K is 10, and our second K is 75. Good. So this is the relation between C, L, and B. Then II. Then calculate the cost of reading a plot of length 50 meters and a breadth 40 meters. So we're giving the L 50 and the breadth as what? This. Good. 20 meters. Then you solve it nicely. This, then times this, we get C as this. And this is our final answer for the II. So that's the end of our variation. That's the end of the variation, and this partial variation. It's been a nice day. Subscribe to Senior Fellows, my YouTube channel, for more videos. So this is the end of the video. We talk about variation and 8 types. We take them one after the other. So we talk about part 1, the direct variation. Okay, direct variation. Then move on to part 2. We will do part 2, or when you are done. Part 2, that is the inverse variation, where there's an increase results in a decrease in what? The other quantity. Then part 3 will be, that was the partial variation. Good. So variation is a nice topic. Yes, it's a nice topic. Good. So subscribe to Senior Fellows for my YouTube channel for more videos. And this year, 2025, they will get variation question. I know you'll be able to do it. Bye bye. Like it and subscribe it and share to your colleagues. Bye.